It's day 11 of designing a Pokopia cloud island in 30 days. Yesterday we focused on decorating and we got ourselves some trees and shrubs and new flowers placed down, just trying to make the place look a bit nicer. We also did a whole bunch of decorating inside the office building we built the other day. Today I want to start another building project. This one probably the biggest building I'll build, not just in this city, but probably on the entire map, maybe. Don't hold me to it. We're going to be making an apartment complex of sorts. I thought it was probably about time to build some kind of really big housing structure that is not supposed to be an office building, like specifically a housing structure. Originally, I think I mentioned that I wanted to put the park in this plot, but I'm going to save this for the apartment complex because it is the last really big plot that I have here in the middle of town. Of course, I can always make more plots or do whatever I want, but out of the plots I kind of pre-designated, this is the one. And I think the park I was thinking of making can actually go over here in this plot because this is even more central to everything. So yeah, this will eventually be a park, and this is going to be our new apartment complex. I've gathered up my supplies to try and save on trips to and from my own my own apartment. And also, I have a whole bunch of stuff here to show you from yesterday's endeavors after I finished recording. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad I got white paint. I was not expecting that. So first and foremost, I did go out and collect some more Pokemetal. I was completely out of this, and I am so glad that I took the time because I got, as you can see, a couple stacks there. I have even more to continue smelting right now, as well as some gold. I also upgraded these furnaces, so while I'm playing, they'll work a lot faster. And then between day 10 and 11, we had Porygon 2 spawn in, and this happened as well. Electivire spawned in, and I was gonna just take a picture, but they proceeded to rise up into the air. And I also got a recipe for a Pokeball wall. But that's basically all you missed. Anyway, for today's build, I have an idea in my head for the design of the actual building itself, and I think I'm going to be pretty happy with it. I need to paint some blocks. So we are going to go back to trying to use the rough wall. And the rough wall just has all these different variations. Today I'm going to challenge myself to use a color, like an actual color, so the building looks a little more interesting. I do think this dark blue could look pretty striking. I also do like this, but again, I'm trying to use a color, and that's gray. I don't know if that counts. I typically lean towards, like, I guess blues a lot, so I could probably see myself using the darker blue, but I don't have a lot of black paint, of course. And then there's also red, which for this particular wall looks pink. If the red was a darker red, I would absolutely go for it, but this isn't going to work. However, one thing I do have a lot of is red and blue paint, and I hadn't considered purple until just now. I kind of wonder if purple would look good with the other blocks I'm thinking of using, which are going to be the stylish brick walls. I'm going to be using these as accents to the building. When you dye these, it only dyes the middle of the wall. So if I wanted to, I could go for a purple brick on all of these, and that could look kind of cool. But I might just keep it normal. I might just keep it brick red and see if that color combination looks nice. But instead of starting the build and finding out whether or not I like it, I'm going to start by just like getting you a sample of like what the wall is going to look like. So the way I was imagining this was actually putting an accent that was kind of shaped like this on every corner. So it would go like that. And then we would go for the middle blocks like this. So of course it would look like that. And then on top, I'd put these blocks once we got to like the top floor. And then inside this little corner would be the actual walls. So if I do this and I kind of pop them right there, we get a sense for what this will look like. And this is me just literally putting these side by side to see if I like this combination. Right now, the light is hitting it better from this side. So I'm just kind of staring at it for a while, trying to decide if this is something I'm going to enjoy. And I don't know. I gotta be honest. I'm kind of this. See, and this is why it's a challenge for me. I'm kind of not seeing the vision. I honestly can't tell if it's the color purple that's bothering me in this case, or if it's the actual texture of the wall, this rough wall texture. I like these because they're cheap, so I made a whole bunch of them already. I don't know. I might go for it just because I do think it'll look different. And different is good. Let me just test it with these blue walls, this light baby blue. So that's what the blue looks like, and that's what the purple looks like. Blue, purple, blue, purple. I think I like the blue better, but now I feel like the red and the blue, I don't know, they're not working. Maybe this is where I go and like dye the bricks on this to be a little more neutral. If you mix blue and white paint, you get this gray color, and I think I might try this on the accent walls. And that's what that would look like. And you know what? I actually think I like that a lot better. I think it doesn't clash as much, and maybe seeing it as a big building, I'll love it even more. Okay, I'm committing to it. Let's dye everything. Right, let's get started. Now, I definitely did not make enough of any of these corner blocks, but I'm just gonna get everything down where I want it, just to kind of like sample the actual walls, and I'll be crafting a lot more stuff as I go here. As for how tall I want this building, I haven't quite decided yet. I know that so far, I haven't made like a skyscraper exactly. Certainly nothing is scraping the sky around here. I think it would be cool to have this be like the tallest building in the city, because going forward, I don't know how many more big block buildings I'm even going to be doing. I still want to get some like prefabs in here. I think some of the other plots would benefit from like some of the other prefab homes that we have access to, and they're probably just the right size to fit like a couple houses or, you know, different types of buildings on them. So yeah, we should go all out with this one, I think. So we'll start there with our corners, and then I'll take these, and I guess I'll just start spamming them down. I'm going to have to, of course, remove a lot of blocks for windows and stuff. Don't know how the window design is going to be just yet, but let's just start with the entrance, which is going to be facing the museum here. And I think because this is the entrance, I'm going to want some kind of, you know, entrance blocks around it, so I can see myself doing something to this effect. As for the rest of the sides, I have no idea. I know I'm only going to do one entrance on this building, whereas opposed to other buildings, I'm kind of doing 2 or 3 entrances. This is just going to be one entrance, big windows perhaps, and we're going to try and cram a whole bunch of Pokemon in here. I will say, it definitely needs windows. If I just kind of left it with minimal windows and stuff, not breaking up any of this blue wall, it would just make me sad to look at it. I also just realized I have a lot of clay, but no bricks. We need to run up to some fire types today and like get them smelting bricks like right now. Okay, all my bricks are getting smelted up right now. Shouldn't take too long. And I'm starting to just continue with the rough wall going up, 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 up. Realizing that, like, okay, I'm probably at a point now where I need to start thinking about how tall I want each floor to be on this building. We definitely want it to feel, you know, like they have some headroom and stuff, but we want to be able to fit a lot of apartments in here too. So I'm thinking 3 blocks tall is probably where everyone would be comfortable. Then again, I think the ideal is 4 blocks. That's what this room is here. And this offers a pretty decently high ceiling without feeling like too cramped. And I do like that. I actually think that 4 would be pretty cool. And I mean, I do want a tall building, right? So maybe I'll go 4. We'll try that. So I think for the floors, we're going to go with this really light diagonal wood flooring. I need to use something other than brick and concrete. So we're going to try this. I'm going to make like 100 of them to get started. So I've counted up 4 blocks from the floor, and this is the ceiling slash the, you know, floor of the next floor. And that's about what we're working with. So we'll do that, I guess, a couple more times, and from there we'll probably have a skyscraper. What's really nice about the design that I'm cooking up right now is that I'm going to be able to hide the power, even though the floor is only going to be 1 block tall. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to add more accents in the middle of this build. So I'm going to take these blocks, I'm going to put 2 blocks in the middle, and it's just going to continue up like that. I don't have any more bricks to show you, but that's going to be on all 3 sides besides the entrance. The entrance, the front of the building, I'll probably do it a little bit differently. But yeah, this gives me a nice little hiding spot for the wireless transmitters. I could also hide them in the corners too, and that should bring plenty of power to hopefully the entire space. So if anything needs power like in the middle, I'm hoping there's enough range with the wireless transmitters all the way from the ends of the building. So if we go up another story, the next floor will be right here. And I mean, that's a pretty decently sized building. We're already taller than the museum there. If I do that one more time, we're going to have, we're going to have a skyscraper on our hands. Because it's not just the floor being here, I have to build it up even more so they have a ceiling over their heads. So that's the height right there, all the way down to here. And that's pretty good. I'm tempted to go up even one more, but it's going to get kind of like boring to build and build and build like that. And that's a lot of blocks I'm going to have to come up with. Even with the materials that I've saved up for this, I don't know if I can do it. But okay, before I make that decision, let's decide on the design of the actual windows, because this is also going to determine not just the aesthetics of the building overall, but how many blocks we have at our disposal to build this as tall as possible. So I'm kind of thinking something like this could be kind of cool. I think if I did this design all the way up the building, kind of like, you know, skipping a space for the floor and then doing it again, up and up and up, that's gonna look kind of nice. Inside the apartments, they'll have floor-to-ceiling windows, and on the outside, we'll have, I think, a pretty good skyscraper-looking building. I think we can risk being boring and, you know, just do that on all 4 sides. Ooh, I'm realizing that I screwed this up. This wall is supposed to be inside the corners. Did I mess that up over here too? Uh-oh. No, over here's good. All right. So I need to... No wonder I ran out of wood so quickly. I need to bring this entire wall in by 1 block. It really wasn't that much wood, by the way. It was just that much. Not a big deal. The elevator shaft, I'm going to have to move up now. This is how bad I am about building big squares and rectangles. The one time, or I guess not the one time, but one of the times I'm trying to give them a little more flair, and I default to my square building ways. While we're destroying walls, I should probably mention that I was thinking about it. I was going to avoid it, but I think I'm going to use more foundations too. I just think they'll look nice on the ground floor of the building. It feels cliche to use a foundation as a foundation for literally every single building in the game. I didn't do it for the office building though, to be fair. You know, you could imagine why I'm trying to avoid using them, right? There's only one type of foundation, and it's this one. When you dye it, you can only dye the top half for some reason, not the bottom. And I like them. They are really nice, but I feel like they're going to be overused because we only got one option. So for this building, I was thinking, I won't use it this time, but I already have these bricks and the rough wall. I'm like, oh gosh, I think if I dye them blue, they're actually going to look pretty good. While I dye these, I forgot to mention one thing. If you remember, the last several days I've been complaining about my power distribution. And so last night I did do a little bit of work in that department. I went, ooh, that's a darker blue than the rest of the blues. Okay, I gotta get more paint. I did go around and change a few things up. I went to each intersection and I removed the 4 transmitters that were underneath each light, and I replaced them with 1 transmitter roughly in the middle of each intersection. And things were lighting up and I didn't really run into any problems at all. I still haven't confirmed for myself by even Googling, because I'm lazy, whether or not the transmitters do eat into your power distribution, or if, I don't know, who knows. But things seem to be running a bit smoother, and I think I'm doing a better job of evenly distributing all the transmitters around this place. So I'm hopeful that I don't have to like struggle too much with power going forward, and I'm glad I took the time to do it. Anyway, I'm going to dye these the same gray color as what I did for the bricks. I just think it'll look a little bit better. The blue, that regular old blue, doesn't come out like the baby blue here. It comes out very blue, like the Chesterberries, but a little lighter. So yeah, I will use the gray and we'll see if it looks okay. Yeah, I think that fits pretty nice. It's honestly kind of a mix between the blue we're using for the walls and the blue we're using for the bricks. So yeah, it works. Now I can proceed with fixing my walls and planning my windows. And I know I said everyone's gonna get floor to ceiling windows, but as I'm building this, I realized I misspoke. So no, everyone's not getting floor to ceiling windows, although I do like doing that. So I got my next batch of bricks back from our fire Pokemon, and we are ready to start building our accents. I'm really excited to see how this building looks as I get these built up, because right now it looks pretty boring. I think these will be nice, especially once we get landscaping in between them. That's gonna look really cool. Yeah, I think I like that a lot. And honestly, I would do this again with all sorts of different walls. The rough wall is a fine choice. I'm gonna keep it. And especially with windows, I think it'll look a lot better. But it is weird. It's a bit odd looking, I got to admit. I think with a different type of wall inside of these corners, it would look even better. Let me see what this looks like above the entrance now. This is the one I've been trying to figure out. What do I want to do differently on the front of the building? And probably just that. So what I did is I put the blocks that represent the upper end of the pillar right here at the top of the door frame, and then it just kind of goes right back to being a normal middle block pattern above the door frame. And I think that looks fine. As I look at this though, one thing I'm noticing about the top part of this little pillar design they have, the grout lines don't line up with the middle blocks. And you would think they would, but no, they're not even close really. And it's very bothersome. I wish I didn't see it. Oh well, glad I could point it out to you at least. And you know this building is tall enough because I'm standing at what will eventually be the top of it, and Ho-Oh is like almost right here. If I went up another floor, it'd almost be a little too much. I don't think it would be literally too much, but I'm not going to go up another floor because I am running really low on paint again. And I mean, I do still have a couple more stories or blocks I need to go here before I'm actually at the roof. So this is the floor, and it needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks tall, and then have a roof. So yeah, I think we're good right here. But here, let's take a look at a distance now. And wow, yeah. I think once we get the building to that high, where that corner is right there, that's going to feel pretty impressive. So I'm getting pretty close with the exterior, and I was thinking about the last floor. Now, I can afford to continue painting these blocks blue and putting them up here. It actually doesn't cost too much when the windows are this big. However, I wanted to try something a bit different. A lot of apartment complexes that I've seen use a different type of siding on like the top floor of the building. And I don't really know why. It usually looks pretty good. So I just made myself some of this stuff. And I thought maybe I would give it a try just on the top here and see if I like it. And you know, it's kind of hard to tell when I only did like a little sample bit, but zooming out, it doesn't look too bad. That might not be the right kind of block to put on the top. I might actually use the one I use for my house, my building over there. But it's not bad. I actually think mixing it up like that, it's pretty good. I think white is fine. Yeah, let me make a different type, and let's try it. This will be the plaster wall. Now, this wall takes seashells to make, which, I mean, I don't have a lot of materials in general, but seashells are one that, yeah, I haven't really bothered to collect very many of. So I think I'll have enough to do it, but it's a bit nerve-wracking. So yeah, we'll just replace these. I kind of keep forgetting I can do that. And I'll actually go across the entire top here, and we'll just do this whole front wall to see how we like it. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I hate to say it, I kind of like it better than the rest of the building. It's kind of, if I had a lot of seashells and I was, you know, not trying to challenge myself to just commit to using a color of some kind in this place, I'd probably be replacing the entire building with those. But I do think having the extra floor being like a different material on the top looks pretty good. In a disappointing yet unsurprising turn of events, I've once again run out of white paint. But you know what? This time it's okay. I'm gonna go and buy some so I can dye the rest of the blocks I need to dye to get this done right. It's only gonna let me buy one set, but it's 10 bowls, which should be more than enough. All right, now that I've reached effectively the top of the building, I'm going to decide how I want my roof to be, and I've been thinking about it for a little while now. And I think the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to start by putting these blocks on the top. This is supposed to be like the top block you're supposed to use when you use the 3 different brick blocks we're using. So we're capping off our brick accents with these. And then I was thinking of being super boring and using these again. In between each of the little caps we just put on all those pillars, right? So they would stick out to here and they would just go across each little section, which I thought might add a bit of visual intrigue. Only problem is I'm going to want to paint them white, or at least partially white. And as you're probably already aware, well, that's an issue because I keep running out of white paint. So instead, for now, while I wait for some more paint to get cooked up for me, I'm going to go ahead and finish the floors I started and finish the walls I started because I keep getting ahead of myself. Oh, thank goodness. Pupitar has white paint for me. Yes. Okay. I can finally do my roof. I did run out of shells, so I was just about to head to the beach so I could finish the walls. As you can see, the windows aren't quite finished yet on the top floor. And I thought, oh, wait, I gave some chesto berries to Pupitar. Maybe we have white paint, and we got really lucky there. I think later when I come back, I'm going to be going to one of those seashell dream islands. I think it's about time. And I think those have twine, too, and I ran out of that a couple days ago, so yeah, that's probably where we go next. It is nice seeing large buildings over here. And it does make this place feel like, you know, I don't know, legit, I guess. It's pretty cool. All right, all the exterior walls are done. Let's see how this looks. And, yeah, I think I like that. As you can see, I dyed the tops of them the same color as the bricks. And I put the bottoms to white. And kind of expensive in terms of white paint usage, but we're good. I just have to make a habit of giving Pokemon berries more often, and we need a couple projects that don't involve as much paint. And eventually, I'll have a nice little stockpile of even black and white paint. All right, how are we liking that? I do think that it looks kind of bad. I don't love the, you know, the breakups that it's having in the middle and stuff. One problem with these is the corners don't connect, and I have been trying to just cope with that a little bit. Just by cope, I mean just kind of deal with it. So what I've been doing is something like this, and just doing that. I did it for the museum. It seemed to work just fine, and I think doing it here too is also fine. You know what? Yeah, I think going around the entire perimeter with this, and maybe we move these blocks down here, and we just go along the entire perimeter of the roof with, you know, the actual roof blocks. Yeah, to me that looks a bit better, and there it is. Another skyscraper. Needs windows, needs walls inside, but the actual structure, you know, it's doing its job. The next thing I wanted to try was maybe using our bricks to separate the different floors. And I'm trying to decide if I like that better or not. And I honestly don't know. I can kind of see doing it maybe just on the top floor since I decided to use a different block for the walls on the top floor. Yeah, I think I'm going to commit to it. I think it kind of just needed a little more for me. And yeah, that's working. One last exterior detail, I'm going to go around the perimeter of the roof and just put these blocks all around it. That's to cover up the little gap that is created between the roof and the, I don't know what you want to call it, the roof and the roof. There's a little gap, and I want to cover it. Okay, well, up next, windows and walls. For windows this time, I'm going to be using the wooden windows, which all connect and make really nice glass panes as big as you want. So there's our windows, and yeah, they don't look too bad. Even with the little wood borders around them, it adds a nice little bit of contrast to the walls. I love it. And speaking of walls, that's what we have to do next, but interior walls. And I have to decide again what kind of blocks I want to use, if I want to keep using the same ones, and how big is each room going to be? How many apartments am I going to cram in here? Only because I can't afford much else, I'm going to stick with the blue rough wall. I think the obvious play is to have like maybe 3 apartments per floor. So you'll have one hallway area where the elevator kind of pops out, and there'll be entrances in front of you to get all the different apartments. I could probably cram really tiny little places in here, like, but the way I did the windows, it's kind of difficult. And of course, I have one big problem, and that's that this is an even number building. So it's like, wait, what do I do about this? Do I make the wall? What do I do? So I think what I would want to do probably is make the wall like this, and we'll leave a gap. There'll be other little hallways connected to our big hallway, right? And that could be where the entrances are to the different rooms. So each apartment would look, I don't know, something like this, I guess, with this one being like small. I guess we'll call this a studio apartment. and this is a 1-bedroom, even though I'm not going to be separating any more rooms in here. It's something, I think. Maybe if I want to be a slightly better landlord, I'm constantly out of power right now, we could get rid of this wall here and just push it in one so that this room has like a little bit more to play with. I'm going to want to actually decorate these a little bit so Pokemon are happy in them. So yeah, probably my best interest to do, I don't know, something like this. And honestly, I think it's pretty good. We have 3 decently sized apartments, and we could do that on every floor. Actually, I think I'm going to move this wall in one, believe it or not. And the reason I'm doing that is because the elevator is in front of the windows, right? I don't feel good about putting a wall in front of this window. I could make the room larger if I just put the wall right here, but then I have to block this window. So instead, I'm actually going to give it a little more space, and that way I can put like a plant or something back here, some storage, I don't know, something like that. And, you know, this room was too big anyway. Compared to the other 2 units, this was like a mansion. We can't have that. And this is what it all looks like with the walls completely filled in on every floor. And yeah, it's very crowded, but listen, I love the views. Any room you get in here is going to get some spectacular views of this developing city, so it's not all bad. I also did use plaster on the top floor. I had to go find some more shells. But this is obviously the nicest floor in the whole place. And the last thing I need to figure out is what kind of doors. The last thing. There's a lot more to figure out, but for now, the last thing. And I was going to maybe play with these brainy doors. I thought the brainy door required electricity, but it actually just opens. And it's very futuristic. It kind of sounds futuristic when it opens and closes. I think I'm going to use these because you ever like look at these types of places and they're like, oh, we're a luxury facility. And what they do is they put some really chintzy, futuristic looking crap inside the unit to try and make it feel like they can charge a whole bunch of money for it. That's what the Brainy Door is. It's nothing special. It's not even powered with electricity. It just looks kind of fancy and futuristic. And that is going to get me to be able to drive up the rents to a place where I feel like I could really make some money. I came here for some more glass, and I gotta say, just out my own windows, I love looking up there and like seeing more stuff popping up because I don't spend a whole lot of time in here. It's just cool to see the city just kind of like develop around me. It is so satisfying to pop doors into these rooms and watch them all become habitats. So I'm really looking forward to decorating them and then moving some Pokemon in, and hopefully Pokemon that'll be really happy here so we can get our environment level increased really fast. Last thing I need to do, well, two more things I need to do before I feel comfortable calling it, is I need to get the floor in for this room. Probably just some kind of tile. I'm guessing I'm just going to go with a normal like lobby down here. And then I need to get the elevator in. Actually, you know what I want to do for the floor is I want to make this the walls we used as the accents. I want to use that as the tile in here because I think that's going to look pretty good. And indeed, yeah, I would say it does look pretty good for the floor of our lobby. So I'm going to go around with this the entire way. I have tons of bricks now, so it shouldn't be an issue. When the time comes, we're of course going to decorate this lobby to look really fancy. I mean, that's another staple of these types of places. They make everything look so fancy so they can charge you so much money, but really, you know, you'll never actually use those facilities. And they're there for you if you want them, but the idea is they're just for show. You're not actually gonna use all that stuff, but we'll put like a fireplace and some couches in there. We're gonna make it feel real welcoming, real welcome. Here go the elevators. Now, I need to figure out how I want to do this because I'm gonna put all 4 of them first. This is ugly. Like having this giant gap here, we got to do something about that. On second thought, if I do anything about it, it'll have to like go in front of the windows. I don't want that even more. So, okay, let me get rid of this. I think I'll just leave it. The elevators in this game aren't perfect. But there it is in all its skyscraper glory, the largest building in town, and I don't know if I'm going to make them any larger than that. This took me almost 3 hours to do, just making that. And part of it is because I wasn't totally prepared with supplies yet again. So I'm going to do some more off-camera work, so the next thing we do won't take as long. And yeah, I think we need to take on some smaller projects so we can start filling out the rest of these plots at a quicker pace, because there's a lot of island ahead of me, and I'm not making good time. So if day 12 is ready, it should be on screen now, so go check that out, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good luck, me.